All right, good morning or evening or afternoon or whatever time it is you're watching this. So this is the orientation video for Econ 335 Applied Statistics at SVSU. So this is for the summer 2025. Usually I like to do these things live, but it turned out that I managed to snag a really good campsite for the first couple of days this week. And if you go camping in Michigan, you know they're really hard to find. So I'm gonna miss the first couple of days. So I just made a recording of this orientation so you can watch it anytime you want. So, just to tell you a little about myself, I'm from Alaska, which is maybe where I got my love of the outdoors. And I got a degree in economics from the University of Alaska Anchorage, and then my master's at Central Michigan University, and my PhD at Iowa State. And I just happened to end up back in Central Michigan, and I really love it. In particular, the reason why I'm so excited to go camping is Upper Michigan really reminds me of Alaska a lot. So, really excited to get up there. I like to go camping up in the UP at least once or twice a summer. So, we're getting all ready for that right now, and I can't wait for it. It looks like we have some good weather. Okay, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but we're just going to take a brief look at the course and the syllabus and the website, and hopefully it'll answer any questions you have about getting started in this class. All right, so let's first of all take a look at the website. All right, this is the home page of the website. Maybe you've seen it already. You can contact me by coming to my office during office hours. I will be there. It's in Curtis 321. My office hours are typically Monday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This week, like I said, I am going to push those back to Thursday and Friday. To sign up for office hours, I guess I was going to talk about this later, but you can just click on this link and it takes you to a Google Docs sheet. And then here you have the 2 days this week that I'll have office hours, Thursday and Friday. And those office hours are split into 30-minute increments. So the directions are right here. You just put your name, what class and section you are, and if you're going to visit me in person or virtually. So most people in the summer visit virtually, which is great. If that's what you want, then I'll check this on the day of my office hours, and then I'll just send you a link, and we can meet at that time. And these are your hours, so we can talk about whatever you want related to this class or SPSU or whatever, whatever's on your mind. All right, so this is my phone number in my office. I very rarely get phone calls these days, um, but I thought I'd list it just in case maybe there was an emergency and you had to get in contact with me. But actually, you'd probably have a better chance of getting your message right to me if you email me. So please email me through Canvas. The reason is because it automatically fills out your section and course number for you in the subject line. And so that makes it really easy to identify who you are and what question you might have and to keep track of all the emails for each class. All right, so let's take a look at the syllabus. So my syllabus is always going to be here on the front page. Let's just click on that. All right, so at the top, I've already kind of listed all this information or talked about it. What is this class? So this is a class trying to develop some skills for you that are really highly valued on the workplace these days. So that's data analysis. Before in like Econ 235 or whatever intro class you took, you learned how to describe data. So mean, variance. You might have learned some hypothesis testing, but it was mostly about describing the data, graphing the data, really getting familiar and understanding data. In this class, it's more about, okay, we kind of have those basic tools, but now we want to answer questions with data. So those hypothesis tests that you probably talked about a little bit are going to be the focus of this class for just about every topic we cover. And so the idea is that if you have some sort of question you want answered these days, the most powerful way of providing evidence for or against that hypothesis is with statistics. And so we're going to learn different ways of answering questions with statistics. Those include one sample tests, two sample tests, ANOVA, and regression analysis. So these are things that you can list as skills that you've learned on your resume. You'll be more familiar with Excel. You'll be familiar with regression analysis, and those are things that can help you stand out a little bit. So this is on an online class, which is tough, especially if you don't have a lot of self-discipline, which I didn't have as an undergrad, and maybe you haven't developed yet. So the class is only 7 weeks long. The good thing about this class, at least, is that it's a 2 credit class. So we're trying to kind of smush a 2 credit class into 7 weeks. It's a lot easier than a 4 credit class, but it's still going to be a lot of information at once. The key is, and I try and tell this to every class on the first day, the most important thing as an undergrad that I learned, actually, I probably didn't learn it until I was a graduate student, was how to manage my time. And specifically, what you want to do is take a little bit of a bite out of each assignment or project every day. So for this class, the way that that might work is on one day, let's say on Monday, you watch a video, and then on Tuesday, you read the assignments or the book chapter. And then on Tuesday, you start the assignments. On Wednesday, you finish the assignments and move on to the next one. So just doing a little bit each day, you'd be surprised at how much you get done as compared to trying to get it all done on one day. So I try and make my class predictable since there's all this information and assignments and tests going on. So the way it's going to work out is like this. On Monday, I'm going to release an announcement that'll tell you everything that's going to be due for the week. So typically that's going to be just maybe 2 assignments. And then on some weeks, you're going to have maybe a project due, or you're going to have to do an exam. So it's going to be a little bit different from week to week. But basically, I'm going to tell you what you need to, whatever it is, I'm going to tell you what you need to do on Monday. And then everything that's due is, for the most part, going to be due on Sunday. So that's going to be the same every week. Monday, I'll tell you what to do. Sunday, please have it in by the deadline. Of course, work on it throughout the week. There's a couple of exceptions. Um, the exams, I believe, I set them up to be due on a Wednesday. So on an exam week, I'll remind you, and it's an exam week on Monday, and then you'll have until Wednesday to get it done. And then on the last week of classes, things might be a little bit different as well. But that's basically how it's going to work out. All right, so the required materials, actually, the book for this class is free, and I'm not requiring you to get any homework systems, so there's no cost for the materials. You do definitely need access to Microsoft Excel, which as a SVSU student you have. It's in the Microsoft suite. You have to, of course, have access to the internet, and you have to have access to a webcam. Sometimes I have video components of assignments, so you're going to need a webcam. Let me go, so we already talked about office hours. Let me go to kind of a new section I have starting this summer. I noticed that the professionalism in my students' emails has just been kind of decreasing over time. And I think that's just because they're being kind of put in the same categories like texting or posting or whatever on social media. Um, so I really want to kind of focus on this a little bit and try and develop these skills for those students that haven't really had practice writing professional emails because they're definitely expected in the workplace. So I gave you some things that I'm going to require for your emails. So first of all, you need the email subject. Don't just send a blank subject for an email, but just keep it simple. And again, it helps to email through Canvas because it'll automatically include your section and class number. Next, with work emails, you typically open with some sort of kind of greeting just to establish it, it's on a friendly basis. I just want a little bit of your time. So some common ones would be Dear Dr. Meyer, Hi Dr. Meyer, good morning, afternoon, evening, Dear Professor. That's a good way to start. If we've already talked before, and since I signed my emails Kevin, you can go ahead and write Dear Kevin in the past or Hi Kevin or whatever for future emails. But for the first email, just to establish that kind of professional setting, I want you to use one of the more formal terms. After you write the opening, you put a space between the greeting and then start the main body of your email. And if you haven't already included your class and section number in the subject, I want you to put it in the main topic and then just get right to the point. Explain your question, make sure you use complete sentences, capitalization, all that. When you're done, put another space and sign off. So sign offs are pretty conventional. It probably doesn't pay to get too creative with these. This just stick to the normal ones like sincerely, best, thanks. You can Google other sign-offs, but yeah, those will work. And then just have your name. So here's an example. So suppose they have some sort of email subject that says help on homework. And he starts out, Hi, Dr. Meyer. So he has the opening with a space. My name's Adam Smith. I'm in your Econ 33501 class. I was a little confused about opportunity costs and was hoping you could help me out. Unfortunately, I have to work during your office hours. Is there another time I could stop by for 10 to 15 minutes or possibly meet via Teams? Then here's the sign off. Thanks, Adam. And that's it. That's a professional email. It looks good. Um, Now, a note here is that this is just for the initial email on a topic. Once we're talking back and forth about something, you don't have to like have this formal structure. You like we'll just kind of write the main topic as the email, following the first one. So how am I going to enforce this? Well, I'm not going to answer your emails unless you kind of have this structure. So if you don't follow the guidelines, you're going to receive the following response. I'm just going to copy and paste this. It says, Hi there. Your email doesn't contain one of the more of the following, a subject, opening or greeting, followed by a space, your class or section number, complete sentences, and a sign off. And I'll respond to your email once these are included. And if you are again missing something for the next email, you're gonna get this same exact thing. And yeah, it's gonna be frustrating, but that's like if it was easy or if I didn't do this, then I don't know if you would be able to learn it as quickly. So I think once if this happens to you once, I mean, I don't hold it against you. I'm trying to help you with something, practice something. Um, Hopefully after the first one, it'll just be automatic after that. So a couple of grading policies. I know I haven't gotten to like the interesting stuff yet. Like, what are you going to do? But just hold on one second. So grading policies, no late work's going to be accepted. They just get automatic zeros in my class. That's especially important for an online class because once you fall behind in this class, it's going to be really hard to catch up. And so the way that I incentivize that, or I guess maybe punish that, is if you don't turn your stuff in on time, it gets a zero. Cheating of any kind is going to result in, at minimum, a zero on the assignment, all the way up to suspension from the university. And as part of that, let's talk about ChatGPT for a second. So I like ChatGPT and I use it probably on a daily basis. And it's a great way to understand things. I use it just to understand like how to fix stuff around the house, um, maybe research something I want to buy. Um, I don't know. I use it for all sorts of stuff just to help me learn. I use it to help me learn how to teach these classes. But what I don't do is pass off its work as my own. I don't say like this is a research paper uh, by Kevin Meyer and then have AI write it because that's just plagiarism. And so a good way to use ChatGPT, for example, is this prompt. Give me an example of how to form a two-tailed hypothesis test. It's a perfect way to help you understand something if I didn't do the best job at teaching you, or to give you examples. But the way that you don't want to use it is here's an assignment and give me the answers and make it like a report. That's going to have a negative consequence on your grade if you try and do that in this class. Okay, so let's get to more interesting stuff. So what are we going to do in this class? We're going to have homework. That's 30% of your grade. We're going to have two data analysis projects. Each one is 10% of your grade. And you're going to have two exams, two online exams. Those are 25% of your grade each. Now the homework you can do as many times as possible as is necessary. So I'm hoping that that 30% is an easy 30%. I'm not saying that it's not going to require any effort, but everybody should be getting 100% on it. If you're not understanding an assignment, that's your cue to sign up for office hours, and I'd be happy to help you get to 100%. These data analysis projects, I'll talk about a little bit more later. And the exams, they're going to be um, the class is basically split into two sections. So exam 2 is all about regression analysis, and then everything else is going to be for exam 1. Here's how I split up the grades based on the percentage you receive in the class. And you can always see the percentage you have. It is calculated using these weights in Canvas. So you should always know what you have. All right, so is there anything else? Yes, I want to point out one more thing. There's the tentative course schedule if you need to kind of understand when each thing is due, and then the projects and when the exams are and all that. That's at the end of the syllabus. All right, so when you're ready to get started, the structure of this class is pretty simple. Just go to the home page and then click on Start Learning or Modules on the left. And you'll see the modules that are available. I'm going to release about 2 every week. So right now, Module 1 and Module 2 are available. And each module contains all of the readings and videos and homework that you'll need to finish by Sunday. Also, under some of these modules, you'll see some extra stuff, like I'm going to put the link to the orientation video here. And then a lot of times I have a page called Helpful Stuff. So for this week, we have one Helpful Stuff Excel Basics. We're going to rely exclusively on Excel in this class. So if you forgot all about Excel or a little rusty, click on this first video and it'll give you the basics you need to know to get through this class. And within Excel, there's a thing called data analysis, which we're going to use almost every week. It's available in every Microsoft Excel, but sometimes you can't see it right away. So what this video shows is how to make that data analysis button appear. It's pretty simple. It's just a few clicks that I describe right here. But if you want to watch the video instead, then you could do that. All right, so the main material is in the overview link. So let's click on Module 1 Overview. And under the overview, it starts off with what you're going to learn. So for the very first module, after you're done with it, you will have reviewed the basic statistical concepts necessary for this course, including descriptive statistics, basic plots, the normal distribution, and confidence intervals. All right, then it'll give you a weekly checklist of everything you need to do for this module. So first you have to complete the readings below. Then you watch the lecture videos and you can follow along with the slides. And then you complete the homework assignment. All right, so down here is the first reading. It's on chapter 8, which is on confidence intervals. I have to change that. It says you can skip to section 8.3, but the book's been updated a little bit. So let's click on this link and see what it looks like. All right, so it goes right to chapter 8. And actually, when I look at this, you want to start with section 8.1 and do 8.1 and 8.2. And that'll give you what you need to know. 8.3 you don't need, and then 8.4, 8.5, and 8.6 are examples. So if we click on 8.1, it tells you how to calculate it, tells you what a confidence interval is, gives you examples and a problem to try, gives you visuals, and it's pretty short. Like reading this and getting through this shouldn't take too long. So I want you to read that in section 8.2. Now, once you do that, you should go to the lecture videos. I like to read stuff well, when I was a student, before I went to lecture or watch a video, because I want to have kind of an idea of what's going on, so I'm not like struggling to understand things in the moment. So that's why I suggest you read first and then watch these lecture videos. So I try and break them down into shorter videos. So for this module, there's 3 of them. I give a little description of what they're about. The first one is describing data. Second one is probability. Third is confidence intervals. All right, so just watch these, follow along, take notes, rewind, fast forward, whatever is the easiest for you. But this is the main meat of the course, is watching these videos. So I put a lot of time in trying to make the slides really simple and intuitive and in describing things as clearly as I can. So once you watch the videos and you've read, then it's time to move on to the homework. So that's at the bottom. Each homework set has a different number of problems. And so this one has 18 problems, and there are a variety of formats. They could be multiple choice, matching, numerical answers. As we get more and more into the course, a lot of the problems are going to include data sets. So going down here, here's one with baseball data. And so a lot of times there will be one question that introduces the data set, and there will be 4, 5, 6 questions after that that helps you develop like a hypothesis test or an ANOVA test or whatever we're looking at. So you do this, you'll get a score, and if you don't like that score, then you can redo it and redo it and redo it until you get 100%, and there's no penalties for redoing it. Just remember, there is a penalty of getting a 0 if you're late on it. Okay, so that's module 1. Again, there's going to be about 2 modules every week. The second one this week is going to be one sample hypothesis tests. That's also kind of a review of what you should know, but it's also probably the one thing that you forgot first after you left Econ 235. So this is going to be an important one. And actually, I would say understanding this module 2, that's going to be key to the rest of the class, because no matter what we do, we're going to have a hypothesis test. And Module 2 introduces the most simple hypothesis test there is, which is a one sample test, and goes through all the basics of setting up a hypothesis and answering it in kind of the way that's expected. So this is a really important one. I hope you're able to get through it okay. And if anything is confusing, of course, you can email me, and I'd be happy to help you out and try and get you to 100% on this homework every week. Okay, the last thing that's going to be due is the 2 data analysis projects. So they're going to be worth 10% each. The first one I'm going to release pretty quickly because it's going to involve stuff we learned this week with one sample test and descriptive statistics, but it's not going to be due until about the time of the first exam. So you're going to have a few weeks to do it. They're not going to be exams, so you can consult with me on them during office hours. But basically what I'm going to give you is a data set for they may or may not be individual data sets. I may just have a group data set, I'm not sure yet. And you're just going to practice the skills we learned by doing a little bit of critical thinking, proposing your own hypothesis tests. And what I'm trying to have you practice with these is being able to communicate what you're doing and what your results are. So you can run the tests in Excel and answer a multiple choice question on a quiz, but it's really important to have that communication aspect as well. Be able to tell people what you're doing, why you did it, and what your conclusion is. So I'll give you a lot more details once we get to those data analysis projects, but just keep an eye out for them. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty straightforward class. Again, it's 2 credits, so I'm not going to flood you with too much information. And if you have any questions about any of this, please email me. And good luck, and I hope you have a great time.